What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to review the most common mistake that we see in bowling, and that is alignment and problems that come from having a bad alignment on the approach. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right into the video. All right, guys, so one of the biggest problems that we see out here on the lanes is bad alignment, and this can lead to so many problems. Unfortunately, back in the day and still today, a lot of people are taught just bowl down the 10 board, just bowl down the second arrow, and bowlers aren't taught how to adjust to the lanes. They're not taught how to aim properly, and so over time what ends up happening is bowlers start to move their feet around but still trying to hit that 10 board because that's what they were taught, and that is how bowlers all of a sudden get so insanely out of alignment, and it causes significant issues. And this is a big problem for bowlers that are very, very competitive and bowl in leagues and tournaments, and this is a problem for beginner level bowlers as well. So that's why we need to talk about alignment, because it is a massively overlooked part of the game, and it's going to be really hard to bowl your best if you're not aligned properly. All right, guys, so what do we actually mean when we're talking about alignment? When we refer to alignment, we're simply talking about the combination of where you're standing on the approach and what you're aiming at on the lane. And the important thing to remember is that depending on what the lane is asking you to do, your alignment is going to be different. So for example, sometimes the lane is going to be wanting you to play straight up the lane, so it's going to be more acceptable to be standing a lot closer to your target. However, there are going to be other times where maybe there's less oil on the lane or it's a drier oil pattern. You're going to be asked to stand farther away from your target and have a more open alignment to be able to project the ball towards the gutter and hook it back into the pocket. So the important thing to remember is that it's always fluid, and it's really important to be able to adjust that alignment depending on what the lane is asking you to do. It's important to be able to align yourself, because just because you know what you're trying to do, if you're aligned improperly, it's going to be impossible to actually execute it. So for example, say you're trying to play straight up the 10 board, straight up the second arrow, but you're standing on the 30th board. It's going to be impossible to play straight up 10 while trying to slide into the 30th board. And that is where the problems start. One problem that can lead to is an insane drift. We see all these bowlers all the time where they start on 30, but they're aiming at the 10 board, they're aiming at the second arrow, and your brain knows it's not possible for me to throw the ball straight up the second arrow standing all the way over here. So what happens? You start drifting all the way back towards your target, and it's going to be insanely difficult to repeat and execute shots when you've got a 10 or a 20 or 15 board drift sometimes. And then another problem that it can cause is that all of a sudden your arm swing starts to get out of whack. Your brain knows, okay, again, if I slide into 30 and I'm trying to hit 10, my ball's going straight in the gutter. I don't want to walk all the way back to my target, so what's one other way to compensate? Allow that arm swing to get farther from your body, and that will allow you to play straight up 10. But then all of a sudden, the ball's far from your ankle, you lose leverage, you lose power, and most importantly, it makes it really, really difficult to execute and to repeat. So understanding how to play the lanes and then partnering with that with a proper alignment is key, so you can make it easy on yourself to execute and repeat. All right, so I have got our good friend Benji here to help us demonstrate how to align properly. So the solution to aligning properly can seem a little bit complicated, but once you get it down and once you practice a little bit, it can make it really, really easy to line up quickly to do what you're trying to do on the lane. So the first step to the solution is picking a break point. This is going to be your starting point. The next part of the solution is you're going to want to pick a targeting point at the arrows. Then the third step here is you're going to take the difference between the break point and the arrows to get a number. So for example, let's say your break point is 5 and you want to go through 15 at the arrows. You would take the difference between 15 and 5, which is 10. So you would take that 10 number and then add it on to the number at the arrows, and that's going to give you your laydown point. So in this example, if you're trying to play 15 to 5, you take that difference, which is 10, add that on to 15, and that gives you the board number of 25. That's going to give you a laydown point of 25 to play 15 at the arrows to 5 at the break point. And the last piece is to add 5 boards down to that laydown point, and that's going to give you your sliding board. So again, reviewing with this example of playing 15 to 5, you're going to take the difference between 15 and 5. That's going to give you that laydown point of 25, and then you add 5 onto it, and that's going to give you your sliding board of 30. So if you're trying to play 15 to 5, you want to be sliding into that 30 board. All right, guys, so Benji is now going to go out there and he's going to try to execute a shot of 20 at the arrows to 10 down lane. So if we do our math, the difference between 20 at the arrows and 10 down lane is 10. That's going to give you a laydown point of 30. Add 5 boards onto it, and that's going to give you a sliding point of 35. And one important thing to note that you'll see here in the video is that just because Benji's trying to slide into 35 doesn't mean that's going to be where he starts. The last part of this to really take it home all the way is that you need to know how many boards you drift. So because Benji drifts a handful of boards, he's going to start a little bit farther to the right than 35 because he knows he's going to drift a little left and eventually slide into that 35 board to lay it down on 30 and go 20 to 10 and throw a strike. So let's go ahead. I'm going to step out of here, Benji. You go ahead, get lined up, and throw us that strike. All right, guys, so as you can see there, Benji's sliding pretty close into that 35 board. Again, it's important to remember that everybody's gonna have to dial it in perfectly for your specific game. If you release the ball a little bit farther away from your ankle than 5 boards, you gotta dial this in, you gotta know those things, so when you got out into competition, whether it's league, tournament play, or even if you're just practicing and getting ready for something, you can get dialed in, lined up faster, allow yourself to throw better shots, throw more strikes, and bowl higher scores. All right, guys, well, that's it for today's video. If you guys struggle with alignment, I really hope this helps, and even if you don't, maybe today you learned a couple things that you can take out on the lanes to throw more strikes and bowl higher scores. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comments what other videos you would like to see, and we will see you guys on the next video.